Full disclosure, news and commentary number 58.
58, dog! Woo! What were you gonna say?
What was I gonna say? Children. They're wonderful. We got a great show going on today. Lots of wrestling news to cover. Our commentary is going to be about continuing to learn. Everybody's saying this is a great time to learn. This is a great time to learn new things, but very few people are actually doing it. So we're going to go into a couple of things about that. That's our commentary. But we always got to thank our patrons. The kids appreciated it. So
Brett, Brian, Dan, Derek, Diana, Jeffrey, Josh, Larry, not that one, the other one, Logan, Rob Rod, Southern Honor, Double Dropkick, Joseph Black, Brock the Croc, Viral Pro Wrestling, Eric Walker, Transcendent, and the O to the G, Myron!
That's a lot of people. I'm surprised they're not billions by... billions of... not billionaires by now if so many people donating. Jeez.
I like the way you think, kid. Are you enjoying that popsicle? Great. You gotta love that. 200 at Sam's Club. Anyway, our first big news story, normally I don't cover national stuff, but that's a lot of what there is to talk about, so I'm gonna go ahead and cover it. We'll start with Money in the Bank, and of course, what was the moments at Money in the Bank that everybody's talking about?
Oh! Splat.
People flying off the roof on Money in the Bank. Sweet. Money in the Bank. What did I think? Who really cares what I thought? But if you really want to know what I thought, man, it was short. Which probably worked to their benefit. I think that was smart to do. The Money in the Bank match, it was silly. It was goofy. It was entertaining. It didn't exactly advance the cause of pro wrestling as an art form necessarily, but it was light, fluffy fun, and the winners are what they were. I did feel like the endings, both grabbings of the case, came across incredibly flat. I think you can argue whether you liked it or you didn't like it, but that whole bit about Asuka getting the case and for some reason hitting Baron Corbin is like, just a lot of it didn't make sense. I think they would have done themselves a service too if they implied strongly that, there's only the first people that get to the roof are the first people that are going to win this thing, to really make the stuff happening in the building more important. And just the simple psychology of, I don't know about you, but I was expecting, okay, like when's everybody showing up on this roof? And then when they did it...
Wow, so way up on this roof. I am the sock monster. I'm a zombie and I'm not going to let you throw me off the roof again. This is a tort. I ban you. Ban your face. Peace, good night.
That's booking. Those socks are clean before you want to write in. Anyway, Money in the Bank happened. Big, huge, hairy deal. And it was what it was. Otis won. Asuka won. I know I should check out Raw tonight, and maybe I will while the kids are doing something else in the background, but likely I won't. But something I will be checking out for sure is AEW Dark. After a show where they only had 2 matches last week, two squash matches, no less. This week, obviously, you can tell they're catching up with stuff that they taped, and now they've taped more and all this kind of stuff. Having 9 stinking matches on AEW Dark. I'm going to do a live feed. I tried to do a live feed for the main events of Money in the Bank, but I was somewhere else, and so their Wi-Fi wasn't able to handle transmitting the show and transmitting my live feed. I don't have that problem here at my place, so I'm going to be doing a live feed. I'm going to be doing a lot more of that stuff because it was very well received. I'm also going to make an appearance on James Caleb Kitchen's podcast at some point where he talks about Dark Side of the Ring. So I'm gonna whenever they record next week, because I won't have the kids, so I'm sort of freed up to that kind of thing, and I miss them so much, and so I try to fill up my time with work. It's great having them here again. Other news. So AEW Dark. 9 matches are happening. Here are the ones with people that are like Georgia notables, and I'm excited about. You got Danny Jordan against Chris Statlander. Excited to see Danny Jordan. You got John Cruz, who was Los Mendejos is when I book him and his partner. He's great. Snake Man, he puts out those videos. I'm just a huge fan of John Cruz, the person and the wrestler. I'm glad to see him. Are you putting water in the... Don't ask. Don't ask. You're much better not asking these questions. You got Lee Johnson and Musa wrestling again, and they've been making a number of AEW Dark appearances. Got Alan Angels in there against Phoenix, and then Colt Cabana, who was booked on the first Sacred Ground, by the way, a little trivia there, against Sean Dean. Sean Dean, who I think is making a great showing for himself. And of course, the big story about these AEW tapings is on Dynamite, their flagship show of the week. Shug D is going to be there wrestling Chris Jericho. Great stuff. There's shows happening with crowds. May 30th, Bushido's doing their show. May 6th, Southern Violence is doing theirs. Now, Southern Violence is outdoors. It's in conjunction with the mayor of the town and his approval, and the brewing company and all of that good stuff. So that one definitely seems like yay. Bushido is already making concessions, saying they're maxing out the crowd at 110. So that's how they're going to protect people. I haven't heard if they're going to put other things into place. It'll be interesting to see who else is doing shows. In Florida, there's more than one group running shows. One of them with a restricted crowd, that's Atomic. And then I've heard that there's other shows running and trying to keep it on the down low. Sketchy. What else is going on? Not a whole lot else. Oh, Eddie Mansfield, who was on Dark Side of the Ring and came across as a total earmuffs, guys, a little bit. Earmuffs. Asshole. Good. He was on with Myron, and Myron and Nick had him on tapped out on an interview. It was a little less than an hour long, and it's fascinating. The best part is hearing Myron whenever Eddie Mansfield was saying something so over the top and him going like, yeah. Which is what you do when you don't want to say, like, you're full of it. But you want the thing to keep going and you're trying to be cordial. Nick and Myron are both very good at interviewing people. And it's definitely worth listening to, even if I think Eddie Mansfield is, earmuffs. He's a weenie. You weren't ready. All right, cool.
You mean?
Good bump off of the couch, by the way.
Oh no, here I go again. I'm gonna die again. Bye.
The stakes are high and money in the couch.
I can fly.
Good for you, Peter.
All right, here we go with the commentary portion. I'm going to get a little more comfortable. Can you straighten up these cushions, please? Your
Cushion war.
dad scattered everywhere. Oh, I got my Baba Yaga shirt since she's all about John Wick right now. So I got my cool John Wick show. All right, guys, I have to get serious on this one, okay?
Okay.
So be cool. Enjoy your life. Learning. I was... People's opinions about all kinds of big stuff going on Facebook and the rest of it. I'm not going to comment on any of that except to say this. I think people forget the Kohlberg morality pyramid, which I've talked about on more than one occasion, is important to note. If you're still operating on the level of fear of punishment or want of reward, if that's all that your life is, and that's how you make all the decisions in your life, you're no better than an animal. What's one step above that? The good boy face. In other words, what other people think about you and say about you. Then you have law and order, where because it's a rule, that's why. Because it's a law, that's why. That's why you should follow it, right? And then above that, and then you start getting into the stuff that really matters. Social conditioning, right? Or social contract. We all have to live here together. We all have to live in the society together. So we will do things for the mutual benefit of everybody, where we're not hurting other people by our actions as much as possible, because we acknowledge that we have to go around this big old mud ball called Earth together. So sometimes you do things for the benefit of other people, because they in turn do the same for you. And if you think that that does not exist, then you're incredibly naive and incredibly selfish. And then the highest level, which very few people attain, is called principle, which means you do things for the right reasons, regardless of the consequence to yourself, because they are the right thing to do. Cool. I would remind you about the Kohlberg morality pyramid when you are making decisions, wrestling related and otherwise, in the future. And I'll leave it at that. People are saying that this is a great time to train and a great time to learn and a great time to adapt and a great time to do things, but I see very few people doing it. Now, I myself am in the weird position because I desperately need money, so I've been training people for money online. And again, I really appreciate the Patreon supporters. I appreciate the people who have been sending me money. I got my first Cash App one. That was exciting. Cash App and PayPal. It's very much needed, and I very much appreciate it, and I cannot state that enough. Hopefully, I will be getting back to work and doing what I do in the near future. But again, when the parks are closed and that kind of thing, I drive people around in a luxury car. That's what I do. The problem is technically I can still do it, which means I can't get unemployment, even though if I did it right now, it would actually cost me money to do it. These are the quandaries, but it is neither here nor there. I appreciate the people who have been sending me money, and I really appreciate the people, of course, who've been paying me to train them. And I continue to do that. And once in a while, I sort of help people out for free of my own volition. And the reason I do that is because I love pro wrestling and I want people to do well, especially the people who I see as having a real potential. And without revealing too many of my secrets of wrestling revealed. Secrets of
New episode, Domino Sweats are secretly named after dominoes bending by Wesley. Why are you pushing my back, Leo?
Strange. By the way, Secrets of Wrestling Revealed is soon to have a major anniversary. I'm a big fan of that show, and I have a VHS recording of it, and if I can find a way to transmit it... Oh, let's plug this bad boy in. And if I can find a way to transmit it... Plug this in the wall over there. Sure. If I can find a way to transmit it, I am going to do a whole Secrets of Wrestling thing. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I feel like I got to do something with it. Boop. I forgot the batteries running low because my kids use my laptop for their school stuff, which they are so on top of. I'm gonna brag about my kids for a minute. This one, totally on it as always, does great work, very proud. This one won the Naval Award. So Wednesday, we're picking up her breakfast. Obviously, we can't have the breakfast, but they're going to give her the breakfast as we drive by and then have a Zoom meeting where people from the Navy are going to talk to her because she exemplified not only great schoolwork, but citizenship and all the rest of it. Very proud of the kids. They're amazing. As you well know.
I'd like to thank my brother, Leo, my dad.
And what we need to get to, though, we got to record because we're at 201 subscribers. So we got to record the song, record the video, and it's going to be awesome. Shh, don't reveal what it is. Yay. It'll be fun.
Mystery song!
But just to give you general notes about things you could be doing. And this is something that I don't feel weird sharing because I've shared it with a couple of people. What is your signature bump? My what? Your signature bump. You don't have one. Of course you don't have one. You may think you have one, you don't really have one. You need to develop one. What's a bump that you take, you and you alone, that can be your signature bump? If you don't have one, get one. And develop it. And have it be so awesome that other people want to copy it. Signature bump would be nice to see. What are your catchphrases in your promos? I don't really have them. You need to have them. Because And how many promos are you cutting a day? Not that many. I saw a couple guys like William Huckabee, and I heard there was a wrestling league doing this where they're going to do battle raps or they're going to do promos against each other, whatnot. That's all well and good, but you should be practicing those every day. Having the catchphrases helps, right? Remember what your goal is. Your goal is that people remember who you are and know who you are. In fact, I'm going to put my kids on the spot.
Yeah. I was doing a sick.
Veronica, name a pro wrestler.
Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy. Why do you remember Orange Cassidy off the top of your head?
I don't know. He was discussed a lot.
I can tell you why you remember.
All right. So Orange Cassidy. No, that's legit. Let's legit. Go.
Ric Flair.
Ric Flair.
Got that.
Does he have a signature bump? Yes, of course he does. Name another one if you can.
There's that. Nico.
Nico?
Don't you?
Wait, isn't that one? No, he was in the UFC one.
Oh, UFC, because my kids did the UFC picks. If you haven't watched that, you should pick that. I got to figure out who picked the best.
Undertaker.
Undertaker.
There's that. I know what they look like, but I forget the name. There's those cool girls that were flex.
The cool girls that were flexing.
There's
Nice.
Paige. There's Xavier Woods.
Paige, Xavier Woods.
Wolfman.
Who?
Wolfman.
Wolfman. Nice. You?
Let's see. There's Biggie. There's.
Papyrus.
Oh, jeez.
Papyrus. That would be a cool wrestler name. All right. Anybody else before I get on with what I'm talking about? Who's somebody that you really like?
Unicorns.
No, a wrestler that you really like.
Miley Cyrus. Wait, that is
Not a wrestler. Where would you get that from?
I'm gonna go on with this unless you guys can name another wrestler. Who's a wrestler that you think is really cool that you've seen recently?
Wolfman.
Xavier Woods is pretty cool.
Xavier Woods is pretty cool. Nice, yeah, does the video game thing. What about an AEW that you've seen lately?
AEW that I've seen lately. There's the guy with the face paint and the coffin drop.
Face paint and coffin drop. So they know his signature move. They know something about him. You know his name? Darby
Allen.
Darby Allin. Very good. That's where you need to be. This one doesn't really watch wrestling, so if she named anybody, it's remarkable, right? Or some of you need to take the name of Unicorn or Wolfman or Papyrus, right? This one has heard enough that she can name some people, right? Or people that she knows personally, like Xavier Woods. That's where you need to be. And what are the things that you're missing? When you watch wrestlers doing their thing, whatever they're doing that attracts your attention, one thing I've noticed about everybody who's done AEW Dark, and this is just a general note, is all of their entrances are completely nondescript. Now, maybe that's by design. Maybe they feel like they can't really put themselves out there. Maybe they're scared of. If you're making decisions because you're afraid of doing something because it might alienate somebody or you might stand out too much, you're doing it wrong. Uniqueness
That's epic.
is what it's all about. It's epic. Every aspect, you've heard the cliche, from the time that you come through the curtain to the time that you go back through the curtain. Well, what are you doing as soon as you come through the curtain? Besides going out there, maybe doing one little thing and then going to the ring. Boring.
I want to have an animation.
I mean, what does Ultimate Warrior do? If I say Ultimate Warrior, what does he do? What do I say? Even Macho Man, the way he walked to the ring. He had a way that he walked to the ring. Shh. What are the missing aspects of your game? The next time you watch somebody that you respect and know, note all the little things they do and write them down. And then figure out if you have an equivalent of all of those things. I bet you don't. I bet you don't have half of it. And you need to have the complete game. Instead of talking about learning and talking about improving yourself, actually do it. You'll be happier. And You'll be able to fill up a little bit of time betwixt now and when you get to wrestle in front of a crowd. Hurry up and do it. Time's a wasted. Things are opening up. And before you know it, it's going to be June. And no matter when you think wrestling is going to start up again in earnest, believe me, it's going to start sooner than you think, because that's how life is. And the older you get, the worse that gets.
And if you're not taking any of this advice, just here's your motivation. Give me a good birthday wrestle party, because my birthday's in June.
So her birthday is in June. And by the way, the person who sent the masks, we've been having a lot of fun taking the Corona mask combat pictures around town. Really, thank you guys for doing that. And her birthday is June 6th, but that's whatever. Anyway, go out there, improve yourself, check out Dark Side of the Ring, check out AEW, just check it out. Improve yourself, and we'll see you later. And think about what I said about the pyramid, especially. What do you want to say? Go ahead.
Unicorn tangs are the only unicorn-like fish. Narwhals are actually mammals. Bye.
That.
Narwhals are mammals.